Hello everyone, this is Chromý and together we will continue the course Interdisciplinary Approaches to Language and its Use. This is the last presentation which concerns the acquisition of words. More precisely, we will talk about how fast do we learn the vocabulary throughout our childhood and school years. One of the things which we may consider when talking about the rate of word learning is how many words does a typical adult know. This is not easy to say. In the literature, you may find various estimations which more or less range from several thousands of words to few hundreds of thousands of words. For example, Jean Aitchison, in her book Words in the Mind, claims that the number of words known by an educated adult is unlikely to be less than 50,000 and maybe as high as 250,000 words. The variability in the estimations is partially due to the methodological differences. One question is what to count. Should we count each word as one item even if these words have very similar meanings? For example, if a person knows the verb to clean, one automatically also knows the noun a cleaner, the adjectives cleanable, clean, unclean, and so on. Should we count all these words, or should we count it together as one item in the vocabulary? The other question is how to measure the vocabulary size. We cannot really ask a speaker to name all the words he or she knows. In other words, vocabulary size measurement is always a matter of estimation. We will come back to it when we will discuss the mental lexicon. If we would be cautious and consider 50,000 words as a standard vocabulary size in the adulthood, it would mean that we would need to learn 7.6 words per day from birth until the 18th birthday. This is a lot. Try to learn this number of words per day while learning a foreign language. But what is for sure is that the process is not linear. Children do not learn 7.6 words every day. They start very slowly and then the pace goes up. We already mentioned vocabulary SPURT when we talked about the early stages of word learning. This concept is based on an idea that around the second year of life, children suddenly start to acquire words much quicker. There have been various theoretical propositions. Why is this happening? However, Paul Bloom convincingly argued that the vocabulary SPURT is a myth. There is no abrupt change in how fast are the children learning words. Rather, the rate of acquisition is rising continually throughout the childhood. These are the estimated rates of acquisition of words based on various sources in the scientific literature, which are reviewed by Paul Bloom. You can see that the rate of acquisition is steadily growing, and it is actually the highest during the early school years. This points out the crucial importance of schooling on our vocabulary size. An interesting question one might ask is what factors actually influence the rate of acquisition of words. I already mentioned schooling as one of them, but there are other factors which are definitely important. First, children are developing cognitively, and their conceptual and memory abilities are improving. Also, development of social cognition and the theory of mind might possibly influence the rate of word acquisition. And obviously, the input may be much greater when the child starts to read and socialize itself more in the school years. Before we will conclude this presentation, I have two reading tips for you. If you would be interested in the vocabulary development of children during their school years, you should have a look into Jeremy Englin's and his colleagues' study Vocabulary Development and Morphological Analysis. And if you would like to know more about possible ways how to estimate the vocabulary size, you should read a study by Mark Brisbard and his colleagues, How Many Words Do We Know? That is all from me now. See you next time.